Beep, beep, beep! The insistent alarm clock screamed at Peter Parker, yanking him from a dream-filled sleep. He groaned, swatting at the clock with a heavy hand. Another school day, another chance to be just Peter Parker, the science nerd. Except, Peter's life was anything but normal. He stumbled out of bed, the weight of his double life settling onto his shoulders like a familiar, albeit unwelcome, companion. He threw on some clothes, the first ones he found, a jumble of mismatched socks and faded band tees. He scarfed down a breakfast of burnt toast, courtesy of his Aunt May's distracted cooking, while simultaneously trying to cram in some last-minute studying. As Peter navigated the crowded school hallways, his senses were on high alert. It was like a sixth sense, tingling at the edge of his awareness, reminding him that danger never truly took a break, not even during third-period calculus. His spider sense, as he'd come to call it, was his constant companion, a buzzing alarm that could go from a low hum to a deafening roar in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, the hair on the back of his neck stood on end. The world seemed to slow down as his spider sense blared a warning. He ducked behind a conveniently placed janitor's cart just as a group of masked figures came barreling out of the local bank across the street. Showtime! Parker! You're late! Again! Do I pay you to swing through the city or do you work for the Daily Bugle? J. Jonah Jameson's booming voice echoed through the newsroom, shaking the very foundation of the building. Peter winced, offering a sheepish grin. Sorry, Mr. Jameson. Got caught in a, traffic jam. He hated lying, but revealing his secret identity was not an option. Not today, not ever. Besides, he needed the money, and J. Jonah Jameson, despite his gruff exterior and his irrational hatred of Spider-Man, was the only one willing to pay him for blurry photos of the city's resident web-slinger. He quickly ducked into his cubicle, the air thick with the scent of printer ink and desperation. The deadline for the next edition was fast approaching, and Peter had yet to deliver the photos Jameson had so vehemently demanded. He sifted through the images on his camera roll, most of them blurry shots of pigeons and stray cats, the result of his less than graceful attempts to maintain a low profile while snapping photos of his alter ego. He sighed, rubbing his tired eyes. Maybe he could salvage something from this mess. He could probably Photoshop a menacing shadow lurking in the background of that photo of the mayor's cat. Jameson would never know the difference. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the city as Spider-Man soared through the urban canyons. He loved this. The feeling of the wind whipping through his hair, the sun on his face, the city spread beneath him like a concrete jungle gym. It was moments like these that made all the sacrifices, all the struggles, worth it. Swinging past a coffee shop, he spotted Mary Jane Watson through the window. Her fiery red hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, her head bent over a sketchbook, her brow furrowed in concentration. She looked beautiful. He landed gracefully on the fire escape above the shop, watching her for a moment, his heart aching with a love he could never fully express. Suddenly, the ground shook beneath him, the familiar tremor of a villain on the loose. He couldn't help but smile beneath the mask. Duty called, and even the allure of Mary Jane Watson's company couldn't keep him away. Sorry, MJ, he whispered, his voice barely audible above the city's din. Duty calls. Rain check on that coffee date? The night air crackled with energy as Spider-Man faced off against Electro, the villain's maniacal laughter echoing through the abandoned power plant. Electro was a formidable opponent, his body a conduit for pure electrical energy. But Spider-Man was faster, more agile. He dodged a bolt of lightning, the smell of ozone stinging his nostrils. You can't win, Spider-Man! Electro roared, his voice a distorted crackle. I am power! I am unstoppable! That's what they all say, Spider-Man quipped back, his mask doing little to hide the exhaustion in his voice. The battle raged, a blur of webs and lightning, until finally, with a desperate lunge and a well-placed web shooter blast, Spider-Man managed to trap Electro in a web cocoon, effectively short-circuiting the villain. He slumped against a wall, his chest heaving. He swung back towards his apartment, the city lights blurring beneath him. He was exhausted, physically and emotionally drained. The weight of the mask, the burden of responsibility, felt heavier than ever. He was just one guy, after all. One guy trying to make a difference in a world that seemed determined to tear itself apart. He landed on his fire escape, peeling off his mask, the cool night air a welcome relief against his skin. He looked up at the star-dusted sky, a single thought echoing through his tired mind. It was never easy, but it was always worth it. With great power came great responsibility, and Peter Parker, for better or for worse, was ready to face whatever tomorrow might bring.